Okay, anyway.
Please ask your questions. Please do not hesitate to ask questions, and even you can turn on your video.
Video.
Anything.
Well, video may be too much stress on the network, but anyway, possible. Can try turning on the video. If it doesn't work,
I think at the last day we want to see each other. So I mean, our participants can put on video sometimes when talking. At least for
no problem. But
fraction of a second, we can actually see our participants if they allow us to see. So we have no possibility of taking group photo. So in this way, we can see each other, I think.
Okay.
That won't be bad. We are 126 in number at present. So if we just show our face, then okay, I mean, not impossible.
One by one. I mean, whenever one will be talking, can put on video for a moment and can put off. Then audio can go on, I think.
Okay, in deference to that, okay, Unaboda, I think my curtains are drawn. Is that any improvement?
Not much.
Not much really, because there's way too much light. Of course, I'm huge enough to block the curtain more or less.
No, it's better. Much better.
Block the window if I move close enough.
Much better.
Yeah, you're blocking the light now.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway.
Participants requested to ask questions. Please, any questions starting from day one. Any question?
One question is already asked by Ghost of Chakraborty. What's the use of ITER-tool module? There's a question asked by Ghost of Chakraborty. What's the use of ITER-tool module? I don't know. I've never used it.
Well, basically,
Ananda, can you answer?
Yeah, basically the point is ITER-tools essentially allows you to create very much more complicated, what do you call it? Complicated iterators. We already discussed some iterators that we talked about. ITER-tools allows you to define your own iterators beyond which Python provides for you. And sometimes the ITER-tools actually really give you much more useful ways of calculating or running loops or other things. But to discuss that in full will take a lot of time. So again, I would suggest the net is a wonderful resource for that.
So I do have a question.
Yes, please.
So sometimes back, I mean, maybe 2-3 classes back, I asked a question that what if I call Python to set a function and feed the data file? And ADG sir said that it is more of a question of machine learning. Now, after yesterday's class, yes, sir?
Yeah, I guess I think you were asking how to recognize what the function is, right?
Yes. I mean, if the data file is a bit more complicated, for which I cannot guess the actual function to be fitted with, in that case, can I ask Python to set a function that will best suited to fit the data file? Now, after yesterday's class of yours, sir, now I understand why this is a question of machine learning. I mean, it is tilted toward machine learning. But can you please elaborate on that a little bit more? I mean, how effectively you can do that?
Okay, maybe I was a bit glib in answering that directly by saying it's a question of machine learning. If, for example, you can have a possibility that there are, first of all, this is nothing to do with Python, right? But you clearly distinguish between two things. One is there is an algorithm which you can implement under various situations, and the implementation can be in any language. Python may make it easy to implement, or Python may already have some implementations already inbuilt. Okay. However, that doesn't mean that you have to do it in Python. You can do it in any language you want. But having said that, suppose you have some idea of several possible functions that can come in, that can be used. Then there are statistical tools which tell you which one is a better fit than the other, and you can try running all of them. However, there are many other things like we didn't touch upon them at all. There are things called genetic algorithms, which essentially could be something as trivial as start with two possible functions, see whether they fit. If they don't, then modify the function, like sort of carry out some kind of mutation, and see whether the resulting thing fits better, and then keep on doing that. Okay, so suppose what you could have is, if you have several categories of functions, you could train your computer to learn which one of those functions work better. By the way, if you, the problem that I talked about yesterday essentially was in which you were really ultimately you were finding a function, right? A function which took in 784 numbers, and the output was either 0 or 1 or 2 or 3, a recognition. But there, of course, because we are using so many weights, so many biases, nobody really cares what the final functional form is. That's going to be way too complicated. The only thing you're really worried about there is basically, ultimately, can you have a way of mapping your inputs to outputs, which of course is ultimately in mathematics what a function really is, right? Once you have the inputs, you should be able to get outputs from there.
Another question from Rupamoy Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
What is the philosophy behind CNN? How is different from ANN?
CNNs are basically special kind of ANNs, artificial neural networks. These are called convolutional neural networks. And the basic idea there is something like this. CNNs are primarily used for, say, things like facial recognition or object recognition, visual things, where, let's say, if you want to recognize whether the object is a man, is a face, or something else. Okay. In fact, many cameras actually have smile detectors, which work that way. So what CNNs do is essentially sort of mimics the way various visual cortices in our brain work at processing different parts of the picture. So, for example, you may have edges. Okay, a program, you may have say a human face would have a nose, would have two eyes, would have a mouth, would have 2 ears. Sometimes, of course, not necessarily 2 ears, but depends. Of course, doesn't mean that the person had to have undergone some Van Gogh-like thing, but the face simply may be turned in one direction so that you can get to see only 1 ear. Okay, but the point is, these pieces make up a face, and CNNs essentially carry out what is called convolution, which means you essentially carry out a kind of map over small pieces of the picture, trying to pick out things like edges or lines, and then try to recognize what these pieces are. Of course, you don't have to do anything of that kind. This is all done automatically. The basic idea is, instead of processing the whole picture at a given time, you apply a filter on the pictures which are supposed to pick up various features. In fact, I saw on the WhatsApp group that somebody has already done something like that by picking up edges from the leopard picture that we are all playing with. And basically, CNNs essentially carry out various different kinds of filters which could pick out different features, and basically each of these filters are also have weights and biases, and you can adjust those weights and biases by teaching the computer to learn about them. So that again would be CNNs would be, say, maybe 2 lectures of the kind that I gave yesterday. So that would be way too long to describe. So I'm just telling you that it's supposed to pick up features by looking at small pieces of the entire picture at a time, not the whole picture. And that's something that makes it much more well, efficient at certain tasks, like facial detection.
In this context, I would request Atish, who actually did that age detection, recognition, age detection. He has described how he did it. but I'd request Autish to share the matrix, I mean the filter matrix, so that things will be clearer for us, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Urlov, you have asked me to share the filter matrix. Actually, what I did, in that I didn't apply the matrix filter matrix in that way. What I did, a row by row derivative, just numerical derivative.
You didn't
of the
use
entire
a
array
filter mask.
array.
Yeah, but
you could as well use a filter mask for
well,
doing
actually,
that.
filter
Yeah,
masks
I
essentially
can use
work
a
on the
filter
same
mask.
principle. The basic idea is, for example, a typical filter mask could have weights like 4 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. That would mean that if all the neighboring things are equal, then
Yes.
you get 0. You get a substantially big thing only if the middle one is much more than the others. This essentially means you weight different elements by different numbers and combine them together. And by choosing the filter, these numbers accordingly, what you essentially are doing is that you're figuring out whether, say, there are basic differences between a pixel and the neighboring pixel and so on. That's how you would detect edges and faces and so on.
Yes.
So those are prefix filters which you can use. In CNNs, what happens is that these weights for different elements, those are learned by the machine by essentially trying to minimize the cost function as small b's. There were Orko Broto had 2 questions. Is it possible to save TurtlePlot as MP4 format or as GIF? Well, actually, the TurtlePlot is not really well designed for that, but you can actually use it to save sequence of figures and then combine them in a GIF very easily or an MP4 using some other program. The Turtle's main utility is not to create the movies for later use, it's for online direct use. But you can, of course, create, but I find it easier to actually use a screen capture utility to any screen capture utility either on the phone or on the desktop to actually create the MP4 files. Is it possible to make calculating interfaces consisting of some buttons like Android's calculator? Of course. But for that, you will have to learn a bit more about object-oriented programming. So you would have buttons which are objects which wait for certain clicks and then work. So, and there's something called PyQt. And if you want a nice graphical interface like buttons, sliders, and all that, there's Python TK, there's PyQt. There are lots of modules which are designed for doing that. Okay, there's another question. Are the users of NumPy, SciPy, Pandas sufficient for physics people, or we need more to install to do the scientific programming? That depends on what you mean by scientific programming. If you want to write your own code for everything, NumPy, SciPy is more than enough. Of course, say you want to do some specific molecular dynamic simulation. You can write your own code completely using NumPy and SciPy. In fact, using NumPy, forget even SciPy. Just NumPy is good enough. I wouldn't say Python, bare bones Python is good enough simply because bare bones Python would be slow. NumPy would essentially be fast enough for all these purposes. But would you really want to write very complicated programs all by yourself, or would you take advantage of what people have already done for you? Of course, there's a philosophical issue about whether you want to understand what things do by writing programs yourself. That's one thing, but you must also remember that people who have worked on this a long time write programs which are very well optimized for various purposes by making use of various tricks which may be difficult for somebody who is doing it for the first time or somebody who is not an expert on computer architecture to really appreciate. So, in principle, if you want to, you can just use NumPy for everything. In practice, if you really want to use something very advanced, and there is a module for it, perhaps installing that module would be the smart thing. By the way, all these modules should come with the source code. So what you can do, if you really feel like it, is examine the source code and even modify it so that you can use it for your own purpose better. But for that, a thorough understanding of basic Python and NumPy and SciPy perhaps is essential. Without that basic understanding, it will not be possible for you to modify somebody else's code to your purpose. Any further questions? And I think I'm eating up too much of the bandwidth by turning on my camera. So,
sir, yes, I have one more question. Maybe, sir, I'm missing a little bit or maybe confusing a little bit. But in the machine learning part, say, what if I have the inputs which are correlated, or say rather, which are dependent on each other? So, will that make any difference in the program that I write?
Well, you should be able to write a program which picks out those codependencies. In fact, one of the major problems in machine learning is basically categorization, putting everything into either this kind or that kind. Classification.
Okay.
And those are things where you actually use the fact that things have correlation.
Right. Okay, sir.
Now, one objection to machine learning that people used to have is that ultimately you end up by learning all these weights and biases, but you don't really understand what's going on. It's like magic. However, nowadays with more advances in the theory, people have been able to figure out also by reverse engineering, it's possible to even figure out what exactly the machine is learning. May not be very efficient or may not be that that easily understandable to human beings. But for example, there has been wonderful work with CNNs where people have been able to show that this particular layer in a CNN really is picking out the nose.
Okay.
You can actually work back and see what is really understandable. It's not completely just a black box where you just feed in data and get out results.
Okay.
That's the way it used to be at one time, which is why many scientists did not like that very much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, can I have
Thank
a
you so
question?
much, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, my point is that can we use Python or like SciPy models to just solve general relativity problems or the differential problems of general relativity?
If you want to solve general relativity problems, there are wonderfully good Python modules available. You can, as I said a while ago, you want to do this, you can write your code from scratch. Remember, Python is a programming language, which means it allows you to write any program which you want to, as long as you know the algorithm properly. Of course, I would not recommend using bare bones Python for this, for the simple reason bare bones Python does not take advantage of, say, things like automatic parallel processing if you have multiple cores and so on. NumPy does that. So, in principle, you can write your code entirely in NumPy from scratch, but since people have already done that a long time, for a long time people have written their code, why don't you use that? And then what you can do is take a look at the source code and try to rewrite things for yourself. That might be a better idea than writing code from scratch. That way you also learn from other people. One great advantage of Python coding is the style issues in Python are almost inexistent, because for example, different people cannot use different. They have to use the same style.
Too many people have unmuted simultaneously, so it is creating some noise. Better to unmute one by one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank you and the organizers for arranging this workshop. I just had one more question. That are GPUs are more
Could others
effective?
please mute the microphone because
May I know who is asking question?
Yeah, my name is Rupamay Bhattacharya.
Actually,
Please, Orkoprabha Gupta, please mute your microphone. Orkoprabha Gupta. Orkobroto, sorry. Orkobroto Gupta, please mute your microphone.
from your end, I guess. We can't unmute people, but we can mute them. But of course, with so many people, it's difficult.
So first
Please,
of all,
please.
I want to thank you and the organizers for arranging this wonderful workshop. Sir, I have one more question. Is GPUs are more effective while running CNN?
Well, actually, let me just put it this way. GPUs are special purpose processors which actually was designed for an entirely different purpose. And scientists, especially physicists, found out that GPUs actually work very well for certain specialized jobs. And it was first found out while doing something like lattice gauge simulations. And from then, the rest of the people caught on. And so GPUs are actually very, very good at the kind of calculations needed for CNN. So if you really look, if you're just using an ordinary desktop with a CPU and no special GPU, can only do so much using, you can't really do a real life proper machine learning program on that. You can run the MNIST code, but not a production level calculation. But GPUs, of course, work very, very well. And GPU and Python has ways of taking advantage of the GPU structure. So especially if you want to seriously do machine learning, you should pick up Keras or TensorFlow. I would recommend TensorFlow because it's actually more like a programming language, gives you more freedom. And TensorFlow also has ways of taking care of the fact that whether you have GPUs, etc., in your machine and taking advantage of that. GPUs, of course, are costly. So if you actually want to build a real life programming machine for machine learning, you would actually invest in that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and to all the organizers also. Thank you so much.
Kaustubh asked for something. Well, one answer which I can give to every question which is being asked here, I guess, is please look up Google, because the standard joke in Python circles is that nobody ever writes code in Python, because you want to do something, somebody else has already done it for you and has left it for you. Okay, any further questions?
Can I comment? Yeah. Can I comment for the Yan paper? Because most often people will ask whether this can be done, that can be done, some specialized work, and this for that which module will be useful, and that. My suggestion is that if you, for example, if you are new in Python, for example, you learn the basic idea of how Python works, then go for the few fundamental packages like NumPy for arrays and things like that. Then you go for, if you are working in the scientific this thing, then you can use SciPy, scientific modules you can use, and for visualization, of course, Matplotlib, and for the structured data like data coming from some tabular sheet or a spreadsheet or so, then Pandas. These are enough to start. Then you can find your own, I mean, for your specific purpose, as ADB said, that you can Google and you can find out what are the kind of packages available there. You can read them because you know how to read a pack, how to import it, how to install a package, how to import it, how to check what is there in the directory, and how to check what with the help function, what is there inside a particular function, and what is there inside a function, what are the by default arguments, what are the keyword arguments, all these are basic things. If you have all those things in your mind, then you don't have to think about anything. You can go on just like that. You start working on anything and just try to write your code, and then you find in Google that somebody might have done a better code for you, or there is a package or module or function. So you can use that.
I would
So that
also,
is my advice for the young people.
I also advise to consult the tutorials. I mean, there are many tutorials available in the Google. So please consult the tutorials also.
Since tutorials are being mentioned, let me just point out two of them, which are very, very good. One is python.org, the official site, has a wonderful tutorial. Everybody should go through that. It's really very, very written, very wonderful to read.
We also started from that.
Yes, Python's own documentation is fantastic.
We started from that.
Yeah.
And
I can also comment on that.
It's called Dive into Python. There's a web book, free web book called Dive into Python, which is very good. And well, if you are really starting out programming for the very first time, I'm pretty sure most of the audience here is not like that, but if you are programming for the very first time, there is a beautiful book, again freely available, called How to Think Like a Computer Scientist. And the modern version, it came in an earlier version in another language, but the modern version is in Python. That essentially is a sort of a way to learn what programming really is and so on. These are beautiful resources. On a personal note, I can say that when I first learned Python long time ago, I made a promise to myself that I will not buy a book for Python or not read a book. I found out that there are enough resources on the net. Even there were enough resources even though back in those days when you could just look through Google, find out enough sites, learn the language, and write effective programs almost immediately. That was essentially because Python is much easier to learn than other things. And one word of advice which I will give to everybody who wants to seriously do this: the interpreter is your friend. Even when you write huge scripts and run them, I would still suggest keep the interpreter handy, open it. If you're ever confused what this part of the program does, type it out on the interpreter, check for yourself. That's one huge advantage of learning an interpreted language as opposed to a compiled language. In a compiled language, it's very difficult to see what a particular piece of the program does because the entire program gets compiled at one go. And you have no way of essentially picking out pieces. It's very much more difficult to see what the effect individual pieces have. So the interpreter is something which you should actually learn to use more and more often. Please make sure that if you get an error, the error message, read it. Try to understand what the error message is saying. Almost always the error message is detailed enough to actually tell you whatever you wanted to know, whatever has gone wrong. So that's a general statement for any programming activity, not necessarily for Python. The way people learn programming is simply this: programming is not a spectator sport. You cannot learn that by looking at somebody else's program. Just like you can't learn to play cricket by watching it on the television. You have to get out there on the pitch and take a few blows to your body, perhaps, make errors, and once you learn to decipher what the errors mean, you will see that programming is really very, very easy.
Can I add? Yeah, I mean, what you said, I just add a bit. I mean, you can learn swimming by swimming only. Also, that's a code by a great man. Okay, I can add that there are two beautiful tutorials I like. One is W3 School and another is Tutorials Point. I found them easy to follow. I follow them. And two good blogs one blog you have seen in recent times, Ornagoda and other people have put in the group, that is Towards Data Science. That is very rich, but the problem is for the first few times, it will allow you to read freely, but afterwards it will ask money from you. But there is another blog which is very good, I find, that is Real Python. You go to realpython.com or org, whatever, I forget, realpython.org probably. So these two blogs, Real Python and Towards Data Science, they are very useful. Every other day they write new articles by the people, expert people, and most of it you can understand them, and the new things also. And the two schools, and the two tutorials, WP Schools and Tutorials Point. And more than that,
Abhijit, could you just type out that in a chat, because
Python,
people may find it difficult to understand the names.
Okay. After saying, I'm typing it on the chat box. Okay. And what ADG said is that more importantly, the Python official site, the documentation and tutorials are much more than anything. They're really good. Yeah.
Perhaps you're referring to Real Python tutorials, right? realpython.com?
Real Python blog.
realpython.com.
Real Python tutorials, Real Python. They have a blog also. Real Python blog. So they have articles on that. Not only tutorials, they have articles also. Like Towards Data Science, that is a blog. So Real Python is also a blog. I can put all the details in the group, and the names of the tutorials is here in the chat box.
Okay, it may be better if you
every other day, if you can
put them on the WhatsApp group.
I type it. Yeah.
No, WhatsApp group would be better,
more importantly, if you write your WhatsApp group will be better. It will stay there. I mean, people can see it
for some time.
Yeah. Yes. At least for some time. Okay. So this thing, and Guido van Rossum has written a book on Python 3 tutorials. Some part you will understand, at least for the few chapters, but at the end, some chapters you may not understand. Only people that will be useful for the people who are developers. But it is from the father of Python. You can only read that. It is free. You can download the PDF file. Okay.
In fact, Guido van Rossum wrote the original tutorial as well, which is actually very readable. The Python.org tutorial.
The new one is there. Tutorial is actually by him. Oh, right. Okay. So it's very readable.
Was originally by him, then the other people
contributed. That's what I want to say. Other people can. Okay. Now we have the book also. It's really downloadable. Python 3 tutorial. And of course, there are very many different kinds of YouTubes are there. That's your choice. Small YouTubes, big YouTubes, lots of YouTubes are there. You will eventually find out lots of
things. Who have questions about what can you do with Python, I would suggest at least take a look at the PyCon YouTube videos. At least you don't have to go through all of them. Just look at the titles.
Yes.
PyCon is a conference which happens yearly.
Python is a conference all over the world. In every country, they have this. Right.
And many of the video lectures are up there on YouTube. You can see what kind of things people are doing with Python.
Yes, actually, you can also join in some PyCon conference. Sometimes somewhere in Delhi or Bombay or Kolkata, it happens. It's a paid conference, and you can pay it, and you can actually join there. Then attend the conferences there. But most of it I found is for the developers, not for
PyCon is primarily for developers. So
anyway,
but PyCon actually gives you a view of what kind of things people are doing. So what modules are being created? What are there? What new things people are making?
Yes.
All that.
And the most of the time, the originators of the modules, they come and they give talks. That's interesting thing. Yes.
Okay, I think we are sort of done with this, right? So there should be if there are no further questions, there should be a valedictory session at least. Somebody should give a vote of thanks. Shuman is the one?
Shuman is here. I think.
If any of us, our participants can speak. If
Yes,
any of our
yes,
participants can
yes.
speak
And
something,
one
please,
announcement.
for the last time, because we won't meet again so soon.
Yeah, one announcement. Certificate is available now. The link is given in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so submit your feedback form and get the certificate. Already, I can see 99 participants have got the certificate. I can see the Google statistics. And I must say, workshop objectives were clearly stated and met. 86.9% says yes. I mean, maximum grade
They're being
4.
polite. They're being polite.
And the workshop helped me to learn different modules and how to work with Python. 82.8% gives the maximum score. The workshop was well organized. 91.9% participants give 4. The information, yes.
People are just being polite, right? They really don't want to say nasty things on a
Okay.
form.
Yes. What they can tell you, I mean, you force them to tell.
You're forcing people to say nice things about you.
So I request, please, from the participants, please tell something about the workshop.
I think I will have some suggestions and things like that.
Yes.
Whether what we can do later after in the next meeting.
We will be delighted to hear from you. Please.
Yeah, and please don't say that we did a very good job, because we know that we didn't. So it's better that we know what else we could do.
Yes. The real suggestion we need.
Constructive suggestions would help us organize.
May I tell something?
Of course, Vimontidi.
Yes, ma'am.
Vimontidi, now show us your face and talk to us. Yeah.
As Ananda told that he knows that he has done a very good job. Actually, his team, or you all 3 or 5 altogether, has done a very good job. But this is very little to say about the workshop. I was eager to learn Python for a long time. I have retired in 2016 November and got the opportunity to settle myself around 2017. Since then, I am eager to learn. Actually, I have procured Abhijit's book, but a workshop of such kind gives me much better opportunity to learn. And I am a very slow learner, and I am sure I will take at least 6 more months, not even if that is not greater, to write my own code for my own problem that I have already done in analytical way. Since I have done that for different type of systems, I want to generalize that, and that's why I was eager to learn Python. And this type of interaction we cannot expect in a one-to-one course, because we have disturbed or taken the opportunity to disturb the teachers even late night, early morning, and they were very glad to answer all our naive questions even. I have not learned, I have not assimilated the whole knowledge you poured into us, but I am sure with this I can be able to learn Python. It may take some more time. The youngers have taken much little time, and they have, more of them have done impromptu works, and which shows that they are learning it very quickly. And I appreciate Saurajit Mondol, the little boy. His work amazed me. I just congratulate the boy, and I would like to learn, but know from which school is he coming.
I'm from Matrikul High School.
Okay.
Actually,
So-
he's from Gurgaon. We stay in Gurgaon.
Shorojit, you can speak for some time.
Sorry.
I was not able to learn a lot of things, all the things, but I learned a lot of things like print and input. And when I was 8 years old, I had written a story which was based on AI only.
Okay. And the best thing of this workshop part is that the very, very little amount of course fee which you have chosen, and it will be entrusted to the NAVA group for a very good cause. I am also doing such type of work, so I know how much money they need. So the course which you have given is just invaluable. You could have assert any type of course fee for this. We were ready to pay. Thank you. Even afterwards, if you organize any such course, online or one-to-one, please inform us. Thank you and love to all, because you three are already very much known to me as my research brothers.
Thank you, Himanti ji. We heard
Thank
from
you, Himanti
two
ji.
young people actually. We heard from two young people, Saurojit and Himanti ji. And please come forward.
Himanti is ever young.
Yes.
We know
that's
her
right.
from last 30,
You said
35
so.
years.
Even salute to Saurojit for participating this in this
I would like
age.
to. Sorry, can I speak something? Can I say something?
Sure. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yes.
Actually, I also would like to learn Python, but because of time lag, I couldn't do that. I could attend this course. But Saurojit was interested to learn any language. He was always telling me for a couple of days, for a couple of months actually, to learn language, some programming language. I do in MATLAB. But then I got this, I saw this opportunity to come. But it would be good if you can arrange another Python for schoolboys, school children like him, or something like this. It would be very good opportunity. But of course, he will be learning from here. He downloaded Python, Anaconda, and he started learning by himself with your guidance. Maybe most of the part he couldn't understand what you are teaching, what the materials you are given. But he learned something, means some for loop, say for for loop. How to use, how to draw different pictures. He's doing all these activities. It is just like, for him, it is just like a game. He's playing with Python. He's learning all these things. I think he will learn by this way. But it would be good, my suggestion actually, my request actually, if you can organize any other workshop like this for school children. Thank you.
Thank you.
And could I just add one thing here? It's great that he is taking interest, and he can find many resources for coding for even school children on the net, and many of them are based on Python. But I could also suggest another thing. If he likes cartoons, you should actually try to get him hooked onto Scratch. MIT has come up with a wonderfully good teaching tool for children. It's called Scratch.
He's doing it for last 1 year.
Oh, they have been using that.
1.5 years actually. Yeah.
Then of course, okay. Then he is right in a position to start working in a more serious programming language like Python. Python has the advantage that you can do very childish stuff with that and very advanced stuff with that at the same time.
So he's very much familiar with that actually, Scratch.
Okay, Scratch. Then that's great. And he already knows much about programming. If not writing code, but it is the basic idea. The basic idea that you can write loops, that can have conditions. Those are the things which are very important for people to realize. And ultimately, if you understand that, you can code in any language. Python just makes some coding very easy most of the time.
God bless you, Saurajit, once again. Thank you, Saurajit, for your interest. And
Can I speak few words?
yes, please, ma'am.
First of all, I convey my deep gratitude to the resource persons. I am from Geography Academia, and I cannot claim that I have been able to learn 100% of the lessons. But in my case, I have gained the confidence to explore several modules. Actually, I feel that we urgently need a Python book customized for geography. And another point is that such type of online teaching has shown us how to teach GIS exercise through online mode. And I feel such type of learning from home is more comfortable rather than going to a place, carrying a laptop, and such kind of things. And it will be very helpful if you would conduct a special course in future on online teaching modalities and content creation. And also, we need a detailed workshop on stat modules. Because in PG course, all the stat operations can be done in a digital environment. So thank you all for providing us such a beautiful experience.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your advice. Our experts are here. They will think about to write a book on geography. Abhijit da?
That's Abhijit's domain.
Yes.
No, that is very difficult. That's very difficult to write because we do not know about anything about geography.
Background. We may need some collaborator from the geography background in our team so that we can do it.
Yes. I think Dolondi is here, right? Dolondi?
Yes.
Dolondi, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, actually, we tried to organize this workshop in our college. So please tell something about this workshop.
I have already told what is to be told in chat box.
Dolondi, please show your face. Please show your face first. Put on your video.
Yes, please tell something.
Not very good at it. Don't know whether we can.
Yes. We can see you. We can hear you. Please tell something constructive.
I have told already. So, is there any point to repeat? So, I would like to thank our 3 resource persons who are actually. It's not about the knowledge only. It's about the sharing. It's about the their eagerness, their zeal to impart knowledge. And I have told in the chat box that in this decaying society where we fight with each other always for various petty reasons, the example they showed us, all 3 of our resource persons, the cooperation, the mutual respect they showed to each other, that is an exemplary thing, because without these things, the subject cannot progress. Without mutual help, the subject cannot progress, the passion cannot be built. So this is the ideal, I think, for this last 10 days. We had an ideal, almost ideal environment to grow together. I thank all of you for this The participants are also very, they were very enthusiastic and they had a very positive attitude. At my age, I do not see this much everywhere. So I appreciate this very much, and I am very thankful that I was a part of it. It was a wonderful learning experience.
Thank you, Dalandi, for your encouraging words. Anybody?
Thank you so much. You said so lovely. Yeah.
Anybody may share any comments? Sudeshna is here. Sudeshna, actually, she suffers most, I think, because of Sudeshna. Please tell something.
I'm pretty sure I will not really appreciate. Let's see.
Yes, please, Sudeshna, please tell something.
Well, she just left next room and went to somewhere else. I guess.
Oh my God. We missed her talk. Okay. Anybody else wants to?
Kishore, yes? Before you go any further, please clarify that I did not put you up to this.
No, I can't say anything.
Amit is here. Amit. Hello. Amit is here. Amit, you are here. If you are here, you can speak. Amit, please come forward. Amit, are you here? If you are here, please come forward and speak.
We just rather introduce who Amit is.
And moreover,
I think Amit will come and introduce himself. Then, I'm checking up. I'm checking if he's here because I'm a teacher, so I'm calling like roll number. No, maybe he has left or so. Let me introduce Amit, if he is not there. Amit is my son's friend. He's just passed 12th class, and their family is from Turkey. They are settling. They are now staying for some years in Kolkata. They had been in various places in the world, and finally now they are in Kolkata. And his father is a very loving person. Arunaboda and myself, we went to their.
Amit's family is the only Turkish family residing in Calcutta.
Only Turkish family. And his father runs the Turkish Chamber of Commerce in Kolkata. And he's a very nice. Their family is a very fantastic, nice. They are very, very nice people. Their hospitality is something amazing. You can, any day we can land up there and can have breakfast and lunch with them. They will be very, very happy. I mean, kind of that. So Amit wanted to learn Python immediately after his exams are over. So he joined and he asked so many questions to me, I mean, separately. He's a very shy person. So I wanted him to speak today if he's here. Okay.
So now it's time for.
I think any student can speak. Ananda's son or his friend.
Yes, please.
Ananda, your son can speak. Yeah, if he's here, he can, because we want to have a view of.
Okay, let's see. I'm not sure.
Let him come forward. And his friend Dumo.
You are putting me in a very difficult position.
Is also,
After this, everybody is going to think that I would put you up to this, that, and then my position in my household will become.
No. I mean, speak
okay,
some words. Speak some.
They are in the next room. Let's see whether I can get hold of them.
Okay, we are waiting. And Shuman, please be ready for your vote of thanks. Shuman is here or Shuman left?
Shuman is here.
Okay, please wait for a while and be ready.
Shuman hotspot.
Yeah. Be ready for vote of thanks. Let Arju come to tell something.
May I add a request?
Yes, please.
Please.
For Abhijit and Purnabhoda, our same 5 syllabus, the practical syllabus of quantum mechanics part, that needs your attention. CU syllabus for SEM 5 quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Because actually,
that will be done.
One interesting point. You cannot make this statement publicly because neither me nor Abhijit belong to Calcutta University.
No, we have to somehow master the thing and propagate it to students. They have to finish the course. So actually what we had in our college, the FDP, that and in many other colleges, that helped us to complete the course, right? So semester 5 syllabus now needs the attention. Actually, me and Kishore was thinking about doing a workshop on that only, but unfortunately couldn't avail the permission from college, so left it that way. So we'll try it again. So please have a look on the syllabus and help us.
Arjay is here.
Yes, I can see him logged in, and his microphone is also unmuted, so he can start speaking.
Okay.
Good.
Arju, please.
Anybody else can also speak?
Having a technical problem. I think he's having a technical problem.
Okay. Anybody else will speak? Please, senior or junior, anyone?
So actually, I do have a suggestion. I mean, I don't know whether if it is possible or not. But
sure.
Hello.
Please go on.
Yeah. So if possible, can we meet at some regular intervals? I mean, and make it like a regular conference, something like that. Maybe at once in 6 months or something like that, or quarterly. Hello?
Good suggestion. Kishore, you speak. Good suggestion.
Yes.
Kishore, you speak. You give your comment.
Yes, point noted. We will think over it. Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir, because that will be helpful.
Sure.
Okay, Arjun wanted to say something. Apparently his machine is not working, so I'm giving mine over to him. Oh, sure.
I was doing it with my mama, so I was disturbed and listening.
What?
Yes, so am I audible?
Of course.
Yes, you.
Okay.
You are audible.
Yes, you are audible. Yeah, please.
Please carry on.
It was really nice to be a part of this workshop and to learn the various ways in which we can code in Python, and also to learn the more subtle things about the language. And it was also really good to be a part of this, that because there are many people from all ages and all backgrounds involved here, and it was really nice that people are coming together for a common cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjo.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, Arjo. Python is at your home only.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
This is Arkob Gupta from ISG Shibpur. I have started from just zero. I had no knowledge about Python. I want to thank all the speakers and all the organizers for this session. I have a request that, sir, is it possible to make a blog where you can update on update later on another tools or etc. on Python?
Well, we.
May I? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
go
okay.
ahead.
We speak. You speak. And I wanted to say that Anando he maintains a good blog. You can follow that, and the later Anand will tell. Okay, tell.
It's not really a blog. It's more like a Facebook social learning page. It's called the Python's Embrace, where we are trying to sort of put together certain scientific things, some videos, some stuff, and so on. Really, very rudimentary. I don't get much time doing this. After all, as I said, computing is really not my job, right? My job is entirely different. But anyway, people, and of course, I can own a OBI has very nice videos explaining various things. So maybe we can combine them together and put them on a single site or something. But they are very limited. There are many wonderful resources all over the place. So, and perhaps much better than ours. Still, you can take a look at those. If you go to my Facebook page, you will find a group called the Python's Embrace, where various topics are discussed already, especially more like numerical computation, scientific sci-fi. It's more detail can be covered in this particular workshop.
Sure. I think we are not going to close this WhatsApp group. This will continue, and we can have continue discussion on this WhatsApp group, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
This group
And,
and we
Shimon,
can have discussion here.
Yes. Shuman, I request you to start your vote of thanks, please.
Okay. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are very audible.
Yes,
very much.
Okay. So this is to be or not to be, Python for a cause or not for a cause. Python is Python. We are working on this thing. A particular project was started very short time, really. And when we give the poster, Kishore actually fabricated a poster almost one day. And when he put there, we get really one response from different portions. And obviously different type of versions were there. From retired student to grade 6, from the Indian to abroad, from companies, they wanted to learn the Python or to use this thing. So we have really a good number of people, and I don't know whether we have served this type of variety of people at a particular time. So, obviously, you have to give the thanks to our resource persons. They covered so many things within these 10 days. And after the session, we found that the students were responding very nicely. They are written the program in different title, pictures are coming, even in fractal, and they are asking many things. And our resource persons, they are giving the answer to the students up to 10 or 11 p.m. almost. And from the morning, they are giving the answer. There is question answer session always. So thank to all the students, all the participants, and all the research persons also. Thank to the doctors of the NOIA team who are working in this particular field, and we are very glad that we can help them. So many, little or not, but that will be helpful, and we are getting the picture from the Bhamankhali today. We realize that the situation, how they are working here. So this is all. Some people request that we
Shuman, I think that we have omitted to thank one organization which helped us with the.
Yes.
I should really not be saying that myself.
Yes.
Still, I think an official thanks is.
ISAR Kolkata actually gave us
They have also agreed to put their name on the certificate. So.
ISAR Kolkata, they are giving the Google platform. Otherwise, we couldn't arrange the 250 people here, and we are grateful to them, the particular institute, to give us the platform. So, and one part is that there are people giving different suggestions. I think our resource persons will recollect all those things. And there is a request to keep that WhatsApp group for a time, but it will not be for a long time, but it will be kept there. You can interact, and also we try to resolve the matter as far as we can do for them. So with all these things, I want to end this particular workshop, thanking all participants, doctors, resource persons, and ISAR Kolkata for that. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Then bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. We'll
Had a wonderful time.
We'll see that this is the group. Yes. Wonderful interaction with the participants and everyone.